Good day, everyone. I'm Manish Agarwal, CIO at MH Enterprises. With so many experts in one room, if AI had feelings, I'm sure AI would be nervous today. Let's start with a thought. Think about nuclear energy. It has power to light up cities or cause great harms. What's the real difference? Constant control, critical limits, benchmarks. Today, AI carries the same weight. Benchmark are our limits. Trust is daily diligence. And method is our controls. Around the world, AI is growing fast. But let me give you a number. Over 70% of AI projects never go live. Is it a tech problem? No, it's a trust problem. At my company, even a small error can block the entire supply chain. For me, when it comes to AI, everything matters. Today, we have a rare chance. 5 top leaders from government, finance, commerce, and cultures will share how they build AI which people can rely upon. Let's explore and learn and unlock the true potential of AI. Let's give a big round of applause to our panelists. So David, first question goes to you. How would you describe the current state of AI adaptation in the UAE and what key trends and challenges do you see?
First of all, good morning or good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining after the long break for networking. Before responding to your question and to contextualize, you need to note that the UAE has been the first country appointing an AI minister. We have a national-wide AI strategy, and we were one of the pioneers. You can read on the news the sustained and increasingly growing investment in AI and digital. It's very heavy, billions across the country. And the estimated impact in terms of GDP contribution by 2030 is almost 14% of the overall GDP of the country. So it requires a huge adoption to get to that point. Are we there today? According to my experience, we are still at an early stage. But before I give you my views, I want to ask our audience if you can raise your hands. How many of you have shaped already an AI strategy in your organization? I see a few hands. Thank you. How many of you have already run some pilots or the first minimum viable products, the MVPs? Now I see fewer hands. If I ask you now, how many of you have successfully embedded in your business processes to respond to the key business questions AI to respond at least 50% of the business questions? How many of you would raise your hands? I see no one. Well, we have an exception. That's why we have Manish as a moderator. But it's not common. I think we are speaking more and more about AI. There is awareness. We are educating our people on the art of the possible through training programs. We have a lot of this available online, but also in the organizations. I see more and more. I know that many people already have an AI strategy in place, sometimes a bit fragmented, but only a few are experimenting and piloting AI, and very few, if not, but maybe only you, are really successful embedding AI at a scale. And the main reason is that it's a relatively new technology, even though I was speaking to my colleagues before that already in the 70s and in the 80s, we were already speaking and publishing articles about AI. More than 20 years ago, I studied AI and I did my PhD in AI as well, so it's not new. However, the technology takes time to be adopted. The main challenge is the talent pool, the shortage, data quality and data availability. To have good AI, you need good underlying data. And of course, another problem is the ethics, the reputational damage. Now that we are able to crack a lot of data, it's becoming more and more sensitive that we introduce biases and that we have a problem putting this in the hands of our internal and external users. So those are, in my opinion, the adoption levels and the trends and the challenges that I see here in the UAE.
Great insights, David. Coming to you, Mohammed. What strategic steps is the UAE taking to position itself as a leader in development of safe and responsible AI?
Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. First of all, thanks for having me in this event. I believe our leaderships, they have set a very strong vision in AI globally. And one of the points, as Mr. David had mentioned, in 2017, His Excellency Sultan al-Ulama has been appointed as a Minister of AI, setting the strategy of AI Strategy 2031. It's one of, I think, pillars that to lead the AI perspective or to lead the visionary of the AI and measurement of the AI within the UAE government. There is other practices already happens within the government. I think they have introduced the AI ethical chapter, the regulatory office, which is regulating the AI and updating the regulatory of the AI. 1 year back, CIOs or artificial intelligence has been appointed representing their government to push introducing the AI perspective to our government. So I think the government, our government, they are keen, strongly believing in introducing an AI and co-op and making sure that the AI's perspective in terms of regularity, in terms of project, and I can see, I think has been introduced a couple of an organization, the sandbox, in order to test the AI solutions. So such practices, such activity by the government and the visionary of the government is very important to step up from and to co-op the global in terms of the AIs globally and making sure we are aligned also with the global need in terms of the AI. It's not a matter of the regional. We've been competing even though globally on the AI, which is it's a part of the visionary of our region, of our leadership. So it all comes with the visionary of our leadership. Our leadership, they have put the first, I would say, stone in terms of the AI, in terms of adopting the AI, in terms of regulating these AI. It's enough for us as a government, as a public sector, private sector, to move on. That's create that environment where we have to start introducing, contributing to that AI.
So key message is building early with care is the real game changer. This is what UAE is doing. Julian, what are the fundamental differences between a traditional AI and a model AI with a focus on safety, trust, reliability?
Okay. There is a big difference between the regular AI we know till now and the AI that is burning right now, that we are creating right now. The changes are fundamental because the countries and the regulatory aspects start to detect that we cannot create AI freely. We need to put some guardrails so we can control what is sharing and what we are creating from them. Like the Studio Gimli, for example, with the creation of images that we see, this explosion during the last weeks, for example. or in the finance sector, following the rules of the GDPR in Europe, for example. Or in my case, that I'm working with Africa, we can find regulatory aspects that are related with the constitution itself from the data protection perspective, like Kenya, for example, where the data protection is embedded into the constitution. These kind of rules, if you move this into the AI structure, you will find that will limit a bit the use of AI, and we need to challenge ourselves how to do it. So it's exactly or similar to the blockers we have with the hardware. Now we are users of NVIDIA in the places that we can use NVIDIA, but we cannot use NVIDIA in places that are not authorized to use NVIDIA. And we are in the Middle East. So here will be a challenge to do it. These kind of data controls are growing. Countries and continents are learning that they need to take care of their information and they need to take care of the information of the users. During the last years and decades, multiple references born regarding this kind of data protection stuff, following probably the structure of the GDPR of this kind of stuff. But make an AI that can go through that data in a way that is according the rules of a country or according the rules of a specific regulatory entity is a challenge. But is the huge challenge here is how we can monitor this, how we can see if the data that is shared in that places or the AI is taken from match these kind of rules. Here, for example, in ADGM, when you see these kind of rules, it's quite amazing how they are creating these entities in a way that the rules are already there. And the rules are maturing really fast, faster than any other countries. So this makes the AI here in UAE quite interesting. I have a question for the country. What will happen when we require all this computing power that we are not allowed to move, for example, medical results to be analyzed outside the country, and we cannot move it to a data center in the United States? How are we going to manage this challenge here? They are moving, we see this in the news, but we have a huge challenge because the amount of data we want to process to make AI reliable and make an AI that can help us to solve real problems. As you mentioned later, how many of you already implement something that is working 100% to solve the problems of your company? Then you start to match these challenges. For me, for example, I cannot jump with the same infrastructure based in AWS to Kenya because AWS is not in Kenya. So how are we going to match this kind of same problems from the architectural perspective of AI to jump into that one? So that's the real challenge here.
So what I understood, it is not just coding it better. You have to put the right guardrails and compliance in the fabric while building it.
Yes. And then monitor.
Yusuf, what makes UAE a strategic destination for companies seeking to build safe and responsible AI?
Well, I think one of the things that is most important to acknowledge is that the rollout of AI is one of the first times where we return back to some of the fundamentals that were relevant in the first industrial era. And that is the direct connection back to physical resources. And by that, I'm referring to energy. When you're a company thinking about rolling out AI, and especially if you're on the AI development side of things, it is extraordinarily critical to choose a region that will be able to give you the underlying fundamentals. And when we look at the cost of energy across the world, the UAE stands out as a place where it may not be in a position to compete with China on the cost of energy straight away, but it can certainly compete with Europe, and most likely can also compete with the United States. And so you've got ultimately a bedrock of perhaps three fundamental principles that have to come into play. Energy is one. Another is talent. And one of the things that the UAE has that few other countries can boast about right now is dedicated education for developing degrees in AI. The reason why this matters is much like in the industrial era where between the 1920s and the 2000s we saw somewhere between a 5x to 20x improvement in productivity, we will see when we look through the rearview mirror on between now and 2030, we will see that a lot of the gains came from people who were able to make that leap. And when we work with companies today, we see a tremendous difficulty with people to look at business problems through the AI lens. They oftentimes need to make the leap from thinking about a problem in the context of how does AI help me do this, to how do I make the AI do this for me. And the focus on having dedicated education will be a big driver for companies who want to establish a team that can think through problems from an AI lens. And I think this is a fundamental ingredient that you need in order to be able to roll out a successful AI strategy. So I want to emphasize this point because I think it's something that those of us that are wanting to make investments into AI need to prioritize and that this region really has to offer.
Thank you. Since you are from the banking sector, I want to understand how trusted AI helps in ethical decision making in critical sectors like finance and healthcare.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for having me, and thank you for that question. I think the question has a very operative word. The operative word is trust. And trust means different things to different people. I think one of the challenges that we would face in a rapidly evolving era like the AI era is that you're also trying to build trust in real time. It's difficult to build trust as it is looking backward and understanding whether it was right or wrong and should have been done. So it's very important for the industry to get together to understand what constitutes that trust. I think there are some fundamental framework building blocks. The most fundamental of that is every person who's on the AI side recognizes that it is the customers or the consumers' data that is being used. It's not my data, it's your data that I'm using, right? And therefore, I have a fiduciary responsibility to provide adequate safeguards, not to break your trust. I'll give you simple real-life examples. As a bank or as a financial institution, we collect enormous amounts of data, right? Every time you do a transaction, whether it's opening an account, paying a payment, whatever it is, right? We end up collecting a lot of data, financial and demographic. Am I good in using that data to deliver better, superior services to you? Yes, obviously, that makes a lot of sense. But the minute I start crossing over that line, misusing that data, for example, if I know that you went to a mall yesterday and I give you the best offers which are available in that mall, it's acceptable. But if I then take that data out and publish it in the public environment where people know what you purchased, at what price you purchased, what did you do at the mall, right? Then I'm starting to misuse your data. And you will see the convergence of this, especially when you look at sectors like healthcare, right? Healthcare is one of the sectors, every time you walk into a hospital or into a doctor's clinic, not only does the clinic have diagnostic information about you, but most probably me as a bank also have the underlying financial information about you, right? What you did there and etc. So there are, there are challenges to the extent you can use that data, the extent you could use that data publicly, the extent that you should keep it safe. But I think the fundamental principle of that comes down to what are you as a customer comfortable with allowing me to use? It's not for me to decide unilaterally what I can use. I have a responsibility to go back to you and ask you, are you comfortable with me using this to, to further economic needs or to simplify transactions or provide you better services? It's also not to say that decisions won't be made incorrectly, because when you're rapidly evolving and with so much explosion of technology, there are bound to be a few instances where people probably cross over the line beyond the comfort line. But then it's also very important then to step back and acknowledge what has happened, understand whether that was for the greater good of that particular transaction, for the ecosystem, etc. Evolving trust in real time becomes very, very important, because unlike other instances in the past where you could take your time to evolve trust, one of the fundamental premises of AI is to provide you instantaneous service. So I have to involve that trust factors rapidly. And of course, if there are mistakes made, then people should be mature enough to step back and go back to the ecosystem and understand what's acceptable, what's not acceptable, and fix it. So I think that's the whole feedback loop which would make sense.
I strongly feel, with or without AI, trust always builds when all party feels they are treated fair, and it is applicable to any technology. Thank you, Sridhar. David, beyond efficiency and automation, what big benefits is UAE getting from this AI?
For sure, every time that we speak about AI lately, people associate this to operational efficiency. But the applications of AI, Gen AI, the classical machine learning, and agentic AI is much broader than that. So to give you a sense, for instance, we are using it for optimization problems. How can we maximize the marketing and promo investment by understanding the optimal allocation across markets, across platforms, whether it's TikTok, Instagram, to maximize the return on investment measured in Abu Dhabi visitation, for instance. We are also using it, or we see that other people are using it as well, for strategic planning. So you can predict what's going to happen in our case, for instance, to give you an example, how many visitors are going to be coming over to Abu Dhabi. But it's much more versatile than that. We are using it for improving the visitor and the customer experience by hyper-personalizing the recommendations, where to go, where to book a table in a restaurant that is going to be meeting your culinary expectations, or what type of events can be more appealing to you based on your profile. And there are multiple applications that you can extrapolate to the private sector. From a society viewpoint, we can see it in many places even without realizing that there is AI behind. For instance, our colleagues from the Department of Municipalities and Transport are optimizing the city infrastructure according to the mobility patterns of the people, where are more traffic jams or problems. On where we organize an event, how can we predict what's going to be the impact on the mobility within the city to find alternatives for people to avoid getting into a traffic jam. In healthcare, we also see a lot of applications from our Department of Health colleagues that are using AI to profile the different patients and diagnose or support the doctors and the specialists with more information which is beyond their own experience, to recommend the right treatment, to find the right root cause of the issue for a given patient. We use it as well in the security space. We use it in the transportation. We use it as well for water supply and energy supply. One of the things that my colleague mentioned is the increasingly growing demand of energy consumption. And I was telling them this morning, reading the news, I don't know if you know, but I'm from Spain, and there was a blackout yesterday affecting Spain, south of France, and Portugal. I got to know that we consume in Spain 25 gigawatts per day. Today, the AI is consuming 3% of the total energy consumption. And within the next 5 years, this is going to grow exponentially to the point that it's going to be between 3 to 4 times the total energy consumption in a country like Spain. The same applies to France or Germany, and I'm sure that this is much bigger as well than in the UAE. So it's very important to predict the demand, to optimize based on that demand to be more efficient. And the environmental impact of AI is something very important that we need to take into account.
Rightly said. Today we are talking about numbers, operational efficiency. But real magic will happen when AI touch people's life. When we are able to save life with AI, when we are able to make their life easier or discover new drugs. Rightly said. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mohammed, how does AI governance help business grow fast but stay safe?
We had an off discussion with Mr. David and Mr. Julian, and how we are addicted now in using the ChatGPT. But if I ask the audience, how many has been reading the terms and condition? None. We are so getting excited of using the ChatGPT, using the technology solutions which is available now in the market, waiving out the terms and the condition in terms of how we are governing our data in that platform. The same thing is happening with the organizations. When we starting interacting with our business user, everybody started insisting, introducing an AI in their services, introducing AI in their daily work. But when it comes to the governance, there is always a flag in data classification. There is always class, is this data is already hosted in GCC or UAE or not? So yes, the AI governance is important. It's very important. We make sure governing the way that we interact with the technology, especially with the AI. But I believe we have to be fair and balanced between the way we need to govern the AI, or the govern the data, or the govern the solution itself, along with the innovative area. We cannot defeat AI. We cannot. And I don't think the globals and in terms of the way that the AI has been introduced, now they are started becoming in our life, in our in each steps in our life is there. We started introducing AIs, RPAs, generative AI, the way they need to introduce. So the governance, yes, is very important. It was a very interesting session at the beginning of the day, where they have been discussing about the governance AI, the policies being introduced to the governance. Yes, there is a challenges to adapt due to how fast the AI is introducing. Today we are talking about the AI for the couple of years. For the last 2-3 years we're talking about the AI. Mr. Davis has been highlighting that we've been having discussion of AI, but today's AI is different than the 5 years AI. Now we're starting talking about the agentic AI. So it's very far, it's super fast. And so we need to enhance our governance in terms of the way we need to speed up the same speed. So in summary, yes, AI governance is required. The frameworks of the governance required to maintain between the balance, but it should not limit our innovative area to introduce AI to our services, to make sure at the end, as a government, when we serve our public audience, to make sure the way we are serving them, which is, I think, one of the visionary aspects for our leadership, to make sure our public is served in a proper way. So we utilize the AI, we utilize any technology, yes, perfect, but making sure the governance layers on top of that, maintaining the needs and maintaining the data in terms of the privacy, in terms of the way that we are introducing the solution.
So governments should speed up things, not slow it down. Great. Julian, how does AI safety is impacted the way developers build, test, and deploy the AI-driven applications?
I'm a techer, so I came from a telecommunications engineer background. And one of the challenges that I have with my teams during the last years is this using of AI in a way that they can speed up their work. That is evident. I have developers that are using AI and they have plenty of experience using it, so they are plus 10 or by 10 increasing the speed. But this brings a responsibility. I notice another developers, for example, that has using AI and they start to create code that they cannot even understand what they are doing. This will create a gap, and that responsibility from the company perspective is huge, because then I think we're going to reach the point that AI can develop a product itself, but who will maintain this product? And I want you to remember what happened in Matrix, the movie, when they go down into the place that they live in the center of the earth, and they don't even know how the machines works, the machines that keep them alive. That's responsibility. And even Matrix, that is an old movie, showing us how AI needs to be responsible so we can be sure that we can maintain and sustain AI in a mature way. Tools to do this, there are plenty of tools that we can use. The problem is tools don't solve problems. People solve problems. AI is another tool to solve problems, and the tools are there to be used, to be utilized. So we need to be ready to create our own rules or own policies inside the companies or own way to use these tools, how to teach the people and how to educate the people to use the tools, so we can start to make responsible solutions for our stuff. It sounds like a fussy thing, but we will find our way, like we find a way to use ChatGPT without nobody teaching us, and now it's natural. Exactly the same way that we teach ourselves to use Google, and now it's natural, or Google Maps, that is a more complex application. AI is becoming part of our lives, and it's becoming part of all the technical infrastructure guys that are there working for our tools. This will not be replaced in the short term, but this is being affected. And I read an article, a really interesting one, that they say that all the developers that are starting to study development during the last 3 years are becoming illiterates on the development area because they don't know the real scenarios that they need to challenge themselves. And AI, being generative AI in this case, doesn't bring them the real knowledge to do it. So this is a huge challenge for us. I think we need to work really hard to educate our people, educate the companies how to use this, and try to bring some new tools. I see plenty of companies here doing it, to don't forget that we are the rulers of the AI and not in the other way.
It's really a tricky situation, because at one side we have to speed up the development.
Yes.
At other side, we have to take total control and ownership of the code which has been written. It's a black box kind of thing. And when you were saying, last 3 years, the developers are using more and more of it. We have been seeing in office, people are writing emails from it.
Yeah.
Down the line, 3-4 years, it would be difficult for people to even think, what they want to write or communicate.
Absolutely.
So too much of anything is bad. You have to strike a balance in it.
Yes.
And understand its true potential.
Yeah, I was talking with my wife and I tell her, any book that you read after 2023.
Yusuf, what business outcomes should leader measures to know the trustworthy AI is truly delivering?
The degree to which AI can be trusted often has to do with the degree to which you can explain and trust in its responses. And I'm sure all of us have experimented with AI tools, and sometimes we feel really good about the output. Other times we feel that there are major gaps. And when it comes to really putting AI solutions into production, you have to be able to achieve the same amount of accountability as you have when a team of people is doing that work. You see, when a team makes a decision,
why it's going to be easier for people to adopt it. And then, once you really activate an AI product or service into your business processes, it's an iterative exercise. It's a journey. It's not one-off, halas, we are okay, job done. No, it needs to be a journey and fine-tune little by little by adding new features, by adding new data, by improving the accuracy and the speed of the AI to really embrace the transformation and to really cover off 100% of your business processes with AI capabilities.
Understood. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello, hi. My name is Larissa. I'm from Unilever. I work for them in HR. So I really like the practical examples you gave. Is there a company we should look up to or where we can benchmark with which really educates the employees well or who is doing really well the talent process or upskilling process of the employees? I think, Joseph, you spoke about how important that is, how we reskill our people. Is there some benchmark you would recommend or a company that is really good at this already? Sorry if I, you want me to repeat?
The audio is a little bit difficult. Maybe if you can come a bit closer.
Okay. Okay, let me say it louder. So the question, can you hear me now? Yes. Okay, good. So the question was, and I think, Joseph, you touched on it, it is really important that we reskill and upskill our talent and that we do that very quickly. Is there a company which is doing that already very well, which we can use as a benchmark?
I think I can get it. Let's see if this, this means, if this is the answer. You are talking about the scalability of the people itself regarding learning AI. We are not there yet. we need to create this kind of stuff. We are connected with the old e-learning, if we can name it in that way. Universities has a different approach, is more related with models itself and mathematics and physics of this specifically, or the processing of the AI, or the connection between both. So for that reason, we see as a huge growing on the chips industry, a huge growing on the modeling industry, but we don't have a match how to teach our people, in my case specifically, DevOps and developers, to use the AI in a way that we can do it. Whatever company that is working into this, I think is not mature enough because AI is not mature enough. So probably what your question can be transforming a company itself. How we can teach people to use AI that is evolving so fast that we cannot even catch up what new thing is coming right now. And that's really, really a huge challenge. How I'm doing it right now, exactly as you teach how to use a bicycle. Just jump into it and go. And then try to find a way to replicate the same strategy with others. And then try to create a background so they can control themselves and they can learn how to use AI in a responsible way. And I'm talking responsibility about the quality of the code and about the understanding what I'm doing with this new tool that is a super powerful tool. So unfortunately, I think that at least from my side, I don't know a tool to solve this problem.
Just to build on the answer, Unilever is doing a great job, by the way. I worked there for a few years, and I know the programs that they are running to embrace the technology and driving change management across the organization, providing specific trainings for specific audiences. But the benchmarking wouldn't be fair if you compare against the digital natives. You have talent that was born in the digital and AI era. So the learning curve, the adoption, the upskilling, it's not always required. It's there by default, by the nature of the company itself, or the startups, the Googles, the Facebooks, and so on and so forth. But I think in terms of benchmarks in the industry, BBVA, the bank, is doing a great job, and they have one of the most comprehensive training programs on AI and data that I've seen across many different organizations. Happy to give you more details about the approach, but in a sense, they have very targeted training for the doers, for the data engineers, for the AI experts, and then for the stakeholders who are meant to embrace the transformation. So again, a real transformation only happens if it cuts across all levels of the organization.
Thanks. As we close, let's build AI that is safe, trusted, and future-ready. Thanks to all our panelists and to all of you for making AI a little more nervous today. Thank you.